Tonight, Adelita Quijado can try for a $64,000 question on the category of current events. And Virgil Earp, nephew of Frontier Marshal Wyatt Earp, can try for $32,000 on the category of the Wild West. And Maryland Southern, Brooklyn housewife, starts her climb. A climb that may lead to the $64,000 question. Now, the star of our show, Hal March. Please. Well, Hal, back for the fifth week is our ex-frontier lawman and nephew of Wyatt Earp from Sacramento, California, whose category is the Wild West, Virgil Earp.
All your friends are out there. You feel all right, Virg? You look fine. New suit that's very pretty. Isn't it dandy? Virg, you come from a family of law enforcement officers. You're the nephew of the most famous of the United States Marshals. You were a marshal yourself. So you should know, was it tougher or easier to enforce law in your days?
Much tougher.
Well, because there was more crime?
No, there was lesser crime. The people were more honest. You could leave a poke of gold in your home and leave the door wide open. It was as safe as in a bank vault.
Well, then why was the job tougher?
Well, because you were the arresting officer. You took every responsibility on yourself. You're arresting officer, detective, squad car, jailer, and the whole thing wrapped up in one.
All one job. If it's not too personal, I don't think this will hurt you now. How much did you get paid in those days for all those duties?
$75 a month, and very happy with it.
$75 a month. How much did Wyatt make? He was
the most that Wyatt made as a marshal was when he was over all the rest of the marshals in Dodge City. He got $250 a month.
$250 a month for being a marshal. That was a pretty rugged job. Well, couldn't you have made more money in other ventures?
Made several fortunes. But the Earps are lawmen. You can't make anything else out of them. And they wouldn't be otherwise if they could.
Well, I'm very thankful that the Earps and other men of your breed were the lawmen, because if it weren't for fellows like you, we're liable to have a horseman riding up right now and hold up the whole studio. Well, Virgil, as I say, it's a fascinating history you've had, and I'm very thrilled to know you and learn more about it from week to week. Well, now let's get down to the game itself. Last week, Virgil, you won $16,000. You've had a week to think it over, and you're here tonight to tell us whether you're going to take the $16,000 or gamble it and go for 32.
32 or nothing?
You're going for $32,000. Would you escort Virgil into the booth, please? Virgil, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
You all comfortable? Ready for the question?
Ready for the question.
Okay. May I have it, please, Ben? The category, as you know, is the Wild West. The question is worth $32,000. And for that amount, Virgil, I want you to answer the following questions about the colorful West. First, here is a map from Rand McNally's History of Our United States. Would you hand that map in to Mr. Earp, please, Ben? There's the map. Now, that map that you have before you, Virgil, shows one of the most famous trails of the West. What is its name, and what was its purpose, and in what town did it first end, and why? Then, well, wait a second, Virgil. We'll come back to that. I want to give you the rest of this question now. Second part of the question. Buffalo Bill Cody was one of the most famous of the scouts and Indian fighters before he became a showman. Against what two Indian tribes did he scout for the Army from 1868 to 1872? Now, at the Battle of Indian Creek, he killed an Indian chief in hand-to-hand combat. What was the chief's name, and what award did Cody receive from the United States government for his services? Next part of the question, Virgil. One of the most notorious outlaws of the West was Jesse James. A song became popular immediately after his death that went like this. Listen to this song. Oh, Jesse
had a wife to mourn for his life. 3 children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward that shot down Mr. Howard is laid poor Jesse in the grave.
Did you hear that?
Oh, yes.
You're familiar with the
Sing it.
song? All right, Virgil, I want to ask you a couple of questions about that song. Now, who was the Mr. Howard mentioned in the song, and who was the man referred to as the dirty little coward, and what was his connection with Jesse James? Now for the final part of this question. Listen very carefully. In order to identify their cattle, the Western ranchers created thousands of personal distinctive brands. Now look at the brands we have illustrated. May I have those, please, Ben? Would you pass those into Virgil? Forget the map for a moment. Now look at those brands, Virgil. First, examine brand number 1 up in that left-hand corner. Why was this particular brand chosen for the ranch that used it? Now examine brand number 2. Brand number 2 is the first brand used in America. By whom? Brand number 2 is on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Now, examine brand number 3, which has a very interesting story behind it. What caused this brand to be chosen? That's the question, Virgil. You have a little time to think over your answer. Good luck.
Now, where do we stop? Here?
Right after the music.
Oh.
Right, Virgil, we'll start with the question concerning the map. Now, what is the name of the famous trail?
That's the Chisholm Trail.
That is correct. What purpose did it serve?
It served to run the Longhorns to the shipping market on the railroad.
From the Longhorns from where?
From the Panhandle of Texas.
That is correct. In what town did it originally end?
Why, it ended in Abilene on the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad.
That is correct. Why did it end there?
Well, the railroad hadn't moved up yet. That was the first. That was really the end of the railroad when they shipped from Abilene.
That is correct. Now, you can put both those things down now, Virgil. We'll get to the brands a little later. So hold them with you.
All right.
Now, the second part of the question concerned Buffalo Bill Cody. Buffalo Bill Cody served as scout for the Army against 2 Indian tribes. Which 2 tribes?
The Sioux and the Cheyennes.
That is correct. What Indian chief did he defeat in combat?
Yellow Hand.
What was that?
Yellow Hand.
Yellow Hand?
Yes.
That is correct. What high decoration did he receive?
He received the Congressional Medal of Honor.
That is correct. Now concerning the song that you heard. Who in the song was Mr. Howard?
For Jesse James.
That is correct. Who was referred to as the dirty little coward?
Bob Ford.
Bob Ford is correct. And what was his connection with Jesse James?
Well, he was one of the gang of outlaws under Jesse and Frank James.
That is correct. He was a member of his gang. Now you can get a picture of the brands in front of you. Concerning the brands, Virgil, brand number 1, why was it chosen by the ranch that used it?
Well, there's a ranch in Texas that covers approximately 6 counties, or 10 counties. The X was a numeral number for the 10, and the I was for, wait a minute.
Virgil, to be fair with
10
you,
in T, 10 in Texas.
10 in Texas.
10 in Texas.
That is correct.
This is in and this is Texas.
Okay, that is right. Now, brand 2. This is the first brand used in America.
Yeah.
By whom was it used?
Cortez
Hernando Cortez is correct.
that captured Mexico.
One more brand to identify for $32,000. What unusual reason caused the choice of this brand?
Well, they were having a big poker game, and the rancher that owned this particular ranch had went broke, as far as money. So he staked his ranch against the money on one bet. And his opposer had 4 sixes and win the ranch.
Yep.
So he thought nothing better for a branding iron than 4 sixes.
The man who won the ranch won it in a poker hand with 4 sixes.
4 sixes.
And that became his brand? Is that what you
became
say?
the brand, yes.
You're right for $32,000. Marshal, congratulations again. You've just won 32 big ones. Your next question is worth $64,000. And if you can dig up, and I mean literally dig up a better expert than you are, you can bring him to the studio and help you if you decide to go for $64,000.
I seen an ex-Arizonan, ex-senator yesterday in the office.
Yeah?
Boy, yeah, wonderful guy.
Well, I'm sure he was glad to see you. Virgil, thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Good night. Virgil Earp. Lovely fragrance around here. Who's the beautiful girl?
Well, thank you, Hal. You must be me. I'm wearing Intimate, a subtle fragrance that never shouts, but oh, how it whispers.
Intimate. Intimate. C'est la voix de l'amour. The impulsive magic of roses, jasmine, sandalwood, and musk. Subtle? But of course. Voila, you see? Even in the dark, he'll know it's you. Yes, Intimate, a fragrance cherished as one of the world's 7 great fragrances.
You'll love Intimate in this new, modern spray mist. It's so nice to use. It's perfect for travel, for your dressing table, too. Because it can't spill, it can't even evaporate. Just press, and a million invisible whispers of fragrance envelop you. Say lovely things about you all day long. This is it. Intimate Spray Mist. All the lovely, lilting fragrance in spray form. A wonderful Easter gift. And for the girl who loves to change her fragrance, give her 2. Aquamarine and Intimate. 2 great fragrances. Different and delightful, and both in spray mist form.
You know, they really are great Easter gifts for the girls. By all means, Intimate and Aquamarine. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this moment is pretty exciting for me. I mentioned earlier tonight that we had important news for you. Well, listen carefully, because this next minute may mean a fortune to you people at home. Bill Rogers, will you announce our great new special event, please?
Here are instructions you will need to be part of our $64,000 special event. The Name Game, a money-winning game for our audience at home.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking time on our show tonight to tell you about a game which will start next week. We're doing this because we want all of you to be ready to play next week. For this game, you need just 3 things: a pencil, a postcard, and your last name. Now, everybody has a last name, but we want to make sure that you have the postcard and pencil ready. Now, you play this game at home in front of your TV set. It's a game in which you can win as much as $64,000. It's easy to play, and we sincerely believe it'll be very exciting. Now, here's all you have to do. Take the postcard to which I referred and mark off 7 boxes, as Pat here has already done. Then write in your last name only, in these 7 boxes, 1 letter to a box. If you have a name that's shorter than 7 letters, simply finish it, then start over again until the 7 boxes are filled. For example, Pat's used my name, M-A-R-C-H, then she started again, M-A. If you have a name longer than 7 letters, fill in the boxes as far as you can with the first 7 letters of your name. Next week at this time, we will start this $64,000 extra. By all means, have your pencil and postcard ready and play the name game at home. It's fun, it's exciting, and more important, you can win up to $64,000 in cash. I'm looking forward to next week, but I'm also looking forward to our next guest. Bill, who is our next guest, please?
Well, Hal, back for the 4th week is our lawyer from Miami, Florida, whose category is current events, Adelita Quijado.
Darn, you're pretty. You are really beautiful. That's a beautiful
Thank you
dress,
very
and you're just lovely. Well, Lita, you've told us everything about yourself, from your war experiences to the length of your hair, but there's one thing that you neglected to tell us, and I'd like to ask you. Do you have a boyfriend?
No, I'm not anxious to get married yet.
Are there any single men looking? Down, boy, down. May I ask you why you're not anxious to get married yet?
Well, I'm an old-fashioned girl, and if I got married, I would want to spend all my time with my husband. And how can I spend all my time with him if I have to be in court?
Yeah.
Better that I shouldn't have a husband. Not yet.
Well, I have an answer to that for you. If you married a tax evader, somebody like that, he'd always be in court with you. You'd have no problem. You wouldn't have to leave him home. With all the problems that it's created for you, how'd you happen to take up law?
I was inspired by my grandfather, who's a most wonderful man.
I'm sure he must be. Is he a lawyer?
Well, at one time, way in the olden days, he was what you call a procurador. And then he became the Presidente of Tacloban. He became a member of the Congress of the Philippines.
Yeah.
And then he retired to become the poet laureate of our island. And now he's a critic.
All that time for a critic, too? What, a critic of what?
Ooh, everything from politics to women's dresses.
Well, if you're going to criticize, you might as well go all the way. There's no doubt about that. Have you seen him recently?
No, I haven't seen him in 9 years, and it's my fondest wish to visit him ever since I came to America.
Well, with the $32,000 that you've already piled up, you can not only visit him, but you can bring him a few dresses to criticize. Which brings us down to our decision. Last week, as we all know, you won $32,000. You've had a week to think over your decision. You're here tonight to tell us whether you're going to take that $32,000 or enter the booth with an expert and try for $64,000. What is your decision, Lita?
I think if you'll give me my check, I'll go home and visit my grandfather.
You know, with all those people out there who are rooting, I think if you had gone ahead and lost, I think that it chipped in and paid for a visit to your grandfather. You made a lot of friends. Ben, may I have this check? Here it is. Lita Quijado, $32,000.
Thank
Lita,
you so much.
I'm so thrilled for you. I know it's going to mean a great deal in your studies and help you on your launch your career as a lawyer. It's been wonderful having you on the show, and I wish you all the luck in the world.
Mr. March, may I thank you for being such a gracious host, the producers and directors and everybody connected with the show for receiving me warmly, and everybody who has written, I shall write them, and of course, Revlon for the check.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Lita, and good night. Girls, get ready, because right now, here's something for you, something you've wanted and asked for.
Here it is, the first non-sticky hairspray.
It's Revlon's new formula satin set. It's completely non-sticky. Now, this is what you've always wanted in hairspray. Now, at last, you can have curls that stay bright and bouncy without stiffness. Waves that stay pretty without a dull, sticky film. Because new formula satin set is completely non-sticky. Watch. We'll use this screen to show you the difference in hairsprays. Now, here's what happens with a sticky spray. Now, see how the stickiness builds up? Well, the same thing happens to your hair. Sticky sprays leave a dulling film that covers the natural softness and highlights of your hair. Well, none of that in satin set. See? Satin set is non-sticky, and so it leaves your hair satin smooth with curls that stay bright and bouncy. So, girls, don't let sticky spray hide the softness and highlights of your hair. Get Revlon's new formula satin set. It's the first non-sticky hairspray. Satin set. Blue top for normal hair, pink top for fine hair, and both in the familiar gold can.
Now, don't get stuck with a sticky hairspray. Get satin set. It's non-sticky. Thank you. Bill, may we meet our next guest, please?
Yes, Al. Our next contestant is from Brooklyn, New York, Marilyn Southern.
I must enlighten the members of our audience. Marilyn has been backstage now, waiting to go on for approximately 2 months.
Can we?
10 weeks. Last week she got on, thrilled, and all we had a chance to do was say, "How are you, Marilyn? Good night." Now, Marilyn, you have at least 6 or 7 minutes. We can talk, and we can win some money and everything. Let me ask you a little something, but come on over here, close to me. Are you a native Brooklynite, or did you emigrate there?
As native as they come, Hal. I was born and bred in Brooklyn, and so was my husband.
Really, right in Brooklyn. What does your husband do in Flatbush?
Well, unfortunately, he doesn't spend much time at home. He's a medical resident at Mount Sinai Hospital, specializing in endocrinology.
That's the glands. I study the glands. Sounds like an important job. What do medical residents get these days?
$75
$75 a week?
a month.
$75 a month your husband makes? Well, you can live on that if you cut out breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a good chance of that. If I may be a bit personal, how do two people get along on $75 a month?
Well, you have to have family who are willing to loan you money, and also I worked until the baby came.
Hold it. There are 3 of you?
4 of us. We have a little boy, 18 months old, climbing all over the house, and a little baby, 3 months old, who fortunately still stays in her crib.
On $75 a month and a little help. Wait till I talk to my wife later. Well, now that you're here, it's just amazing. Apparently it's agreed with you because you look wonderful.
Thank you.
Would you like to win some money now, Marilyn? I don't know that you need it especially, but if you'd like to, right behind you is Revlon's category board. Which do you think you'd like to take a crack at?
Number 7, opera.
Number 7, opera. All right. Pat, if you'll press number 7 on the IBM machine, we'll get going. Finally made it, huh? Come on over here, Mare. Let's get in the picture. All right? You know the rules of the game. You must, after being backstage for so long. All right, here we go. We all know that the name of the barber of Seville is Figaro. For $64, what is the name of Madame Butterfly?
Cho-Cho San.
Cho-Cho San is correct for $64. Like that, you won practically a month's salary. All right, you want to go for $128?
Yes.
All right, for $128, what is the name of Il Trovatore?
Manrico.
You're right, Manrico, that's right. 256? 4 months' salary. Who is the daughter of the regiment?
Marie.
Marie is right for $256. 512? For 512, who was the girl of the Golden West?
Minnie.
Minnie is right for $512. The next question's worth $1,000, and that's the possession of our Vice President of the Manufacturers Trust Company, Mr. Pite. May I escort you to that area? We'll get it. Right this way, please. Set. Why do you keep getting away from me? Get closer. Then may I have a $1,000 question? All right. For $1,000, tell me in what opera is the old Irish song, The Last Rose of Summer, sung?
That's Martha by Floto.
You're right for $1,000. I didn't know that. You want to go for $2,000?
Sure do.
Are we getting wealthy so fast for $2,000? Then you're handing me upside down, then. All right, for $2,000. Das Rheingold by Wagner has one of the most impressive openings in all opera. As the curtain rises, we discover 3 Rhine maidens guarding a treasure of magic gold at the bottom of the river. For $2,000, name these 3 supernatural guardians.
Flosshilda.
Flosshilda,
Velgunda.
Velgunda.
Vogelinda.
You are right for $2,000. $4,000?
Let's go.
Isn't this exciting? $75 a month. All right, for $4,000, I will name 3 villains from 3 well-known operas. For $4,000, identify the opera in which each appears and the composer of the opera. Here they are. Number 1, Hagen. 2, Gessler. I guess it's Gessler. Is that Gessler? Yes. And 3, Baron Scarpia. All right, first, which opera and the composer of the opera in which opera does Hagen appear?
Well, that's in the last of the Ring operas. That would be Götterdämmerung by Wagner.
That is correct. Number 2, Gessler.
Can we skip that for just a
You
moment?
certainly can. Number 3, Baron Scarpia.
Well, that would be in Tosca by Puccini.
That is correct. Now, if you tell me which opera the villain Gessler appears, you'll win
I
$4,000.
believe that's William Tell by Rossini.
You're right for $4,000. We'll get on. You reach Revlon second plateau. That's 4,000. You can go home with. You can't go home with less. Now, if you go ahead and happen to, heaven forbid, miss, your consolation prize will be a brand new 1958 Cadillac. Okay? We'll get on with your $8,000 question, or at least your decision of whether you want to go or not, in just a moment. But right now, I have something for the men in our audience. Top brass hairdressing for men is really kicking up a storm. Just listen to this.
New as a jet. Fast as a jet. Amazing. New. Medicated hairdress. Top brass. Keeps hair in place around the clock. Top brass for men. Fights dandruff hour after hour. Top brass for men. Top brass.
Men, Revlon has hair down to a science. For instance, our laboratories prove that dandruff thrives on grease. That's why Top Brass is absolutely greaseless. And I'll prove it with an ordinary piece of brown paper. Now, this is a leading liquid hair dressing. This is a leading cream dressing. And finally, Top Brass. Now, let's look at the other side of the paper. See? The grease came right through from the liquid and cream dressings. But look, no grease at all from Top Brass, because there's no grease in Top Brass. Nothing to give dandruff a chance. Top Brass moisturizes your scalp to stop dryness. Take it from me, man. I've been using Top Brass. My hair really stays in place, and I like the way it looks. Remember, Top Brass for men. It's great. Don't forget, Top Brass. Thank you. In addition to knowledge of glands, does your husband have hair?
Yes.
I'd like your husband to have this.
I'm sorry, we haven't time to continue.
Oh, so am I. Do we have time to chat a moment? I guess this is the best thing to do. If we go into the booth, we won't have time to... Are you happy about what's happened so
Delighted.
far? Marilyn, give my best to your husband as soon as you revive him, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for being with us, and good night. Before we say goodnight, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you that the annual Red Cross drive is on this month. Red Cross needs you. Your community needs Red Cross. Give generously to your local Red Cross chapter. And remember this, our $64,000 special event, the name game, starts next week. All you need are 3 things to play: a pencil, a postcard, and your name. Be with us then for the start of this event. Thanks for being with us tonight, and good night, everyone. Good night.
Tune in Revlon's other great shows. Friday nights, The Walter Winchell File on another network. And next Sunday, Ralph's Story of the $64,000 challenge over CBS. You'll see Eddie Hodges and Patty Duke going for $16,000 in their match on pop music. If you're an expert on any of these categories, write and tell us about yourself. Enclose a snapshot. Write to the $64,000 question, CBS Television, 485 Madison Avenue, New York City. Travel for contestants on this program is arranged by American Airlines. Be sure to be with us again next week when Revlon again presents the $64,000 question. Fashions from Seal Chapman, jewelry from Triperi. Your announcer, Bill Rogers.